I just discovered some devastating news about my daughter. My wife told me, and now I'm devastated, but you know what? They think that I'm just going to look past the mistake, the problem, and just overcome it, but that's not what's going to happen here. I'm going to take back control of my life.
Hey everyone, I'm just a regular Joe. I can't believe I'm sharing this here, but my sister once told me about this place, and I reckon strangers can give me the most neutral advice right now. I'm extremely confused, and I don't know what just happened. Today, I brought my family to this fancy restaurant for lunch just to have some good bonding time, but it just turned deadly south. My daughter, Natalie, 19, stormed out of the restaurant telling me I should stop acting like her father, and I get it. I'm not a saint, but it doesn't give her a free pass to act out like that. My wife, 49 years old, named Jennifer, short Jen, ran after her, and I was left alone with an overpriced steak and my overthinking brain. I'm definitely in a mood, and I kinda want to clear my head before doing anything. That's why I'm here. Let me try to fill you in on the whole situation at hand. I would say it started around when she was 15. Everybody told me that the teenage years will make you regret having children, but hell, I was a teenager once. I wanted to be the cool dad, somebody she could trust with her secret, so I did not restrict her much, and I tried to be her best friend. I know firsthand that if you cage a kid too much, they're just going to learn to lie and sneak behind your back, and I think that's more dangerous and detrimental. And it seemed to work in the beginning. She'd tell me about the boys in her life, the ones she liked and the ones she could not stand. My wife would tease me about it, saying I sound like a teenage girl sometimes. But hey, at least I know who to give a stink eye to. Kidding, mostly. I think my daughter actually liked it, though, and I was willing to be her knight in shining armor, till she married by the age of like 40. Kidding again, but so, not really. But moving on to the dreaded time when she turned 15 years of age. She started being weird. I'm not sure if it's a typical teenage thing, but I felt something was off. I would often let her be when she's in a bad mood to give her time to calm down and process whatever teenagers are thinking these days. But I know it was a different one because she would be in a good mood the minute she went outside or whenever she was with friends. Alone with me, though, it was as cold as a winter's day. The first time it happened, it felt like a punch to the gut. I told my wife about it when she came home from work, and she just laughed at me for being sensitive. I kept explaining how it was different, but she would not take me seriously. The next morning at breakfast, Natalie asked if she could drive herself to school. Of course, I told her no because A, she doesn't have a license and my work ride ain't no training wheel, and B, how else am I going to get to work? I flat out said no, and she went off like a firecracker. I told her to stop acting like a toddler, and she then just threw away the plate that she was eating and screamed even more. And listen, I'm not saying what I did was right, and I'm not proud of this, but in the heat of the moment, I slapped her. She was just so different from the daughter I loved, and at the time it felt like she was a stranger. She stared at me, and my God, I remember the tears in her eyes. After a second, she just went into an even more ballistic form. Jen came in, her robe still dripping wet from the shower, to see what the commotion was about, and she looked at me and then Natalie, and she went over to our daughter to comfort her. Natalie told Jen that I just slapped her, and after that there was a round of shouting matches. I was in the doghouse with both my girls for a good while after that one. That day is burned into my memory. That was surely one of my biggest regrets in life. After that day, my daughter avoided me like a plague. Jen gave me an ultimatum, one more strike and she'd be serving me divorce papers. I couldn't argue with it. There's not a reason good enough for hurting your own child, despite what my own folk might think. To somehow punish myself, I left her alone. Maybe she just wants her dad out of the picture for a while, and if giving her enough space will make her forgive me in time, it'll be worth it. Between the two of us, my wife was a workaholic, so I helped out more at the house. But ever since my daughter has been needing way less of me and more of Jen, I buried myself in work instead, a role reversal. And she became the quote cool mom. With my wife spending more time with our daughter, I guess they became a lot closer. They'd go for spa days, shopping, lunch dates, you name it. All without me. I told Jen that it hurt to be left out, and she promised to try and bring Natalie around more. Part of me wanted to say that Natalie was also in the wrong, that those tantrums were not okay, and that she needed to apologize, but I just bit my tongue. After all, I was the one who'd crossed the line. There was another event a couple of years later that drove a deeper wedge between me and Natalie. One morning, it was just the two of us at breakfast since Jen had an early shift. I tried to engage Natalie in a conversation about school. Her response was cut a mere yes, no, okay. It felt like talking to a brick wall. What made it worse was her insistent giggling at her phone. She's 16, living under my roof, and all I wanted was a real conversation, but she could not even tear her eyes away from the screen for a second. I asked her who she was texting and what was so funny. Oh, nothing. I then told her to give me her phone for being disrespectful, especially when she's at the table. She ignored me and continued her little giggling. I snapped. I grabbed her phone, and for the first time she looked at me. She was glaring at me, and that got me even more mad. She tried reaching out for the phone, and I told her that she needed to learn how to respect me because I'm her parent, or else. Or else what? You're going to hit me again? I don't know what to tell you guys. Something inside me broke. But thank God I did not hit her this time. I calmed myself down and told her that I would be confiscating this here phone and that she would get it after school. She starts screaming again. I ignored her and went to work with her phone. I did take a look at her phone, though. I saw a message notification from a guy named Robert asking if the dates was still on. I rolled my eyes and stashed her phone in my case. I'm not the type to invade somebody's privacy. Yeah, even if it's my own daughter whom I'm angry at. During my lunch break, I called my wife and asked her if she knew any guy named Robert because of the text I saw on Natalie's phone. She kind of became weird about it, but assured me that he's a harmless guy. Well, when I arrived at home, Natalie went up to me and asked for her phone back. I was grabbing it from my case, and she quickly snatched it from my hands and turned her back without saying a word. Well, I got annoyed at that, so I told her that she's grounded, and she said, "No, I'm not. I'm telling Mom." When Jen was home, Natalie told her what happened and then asked if we could meet the guy. My wife looked at me, and I guess she saw how uncomfortable I was, so she denied the request. Our daughter stopped off to her room, and I thanked my wife for understanding and being by my side. After that, my daughter would not talk to me at all. She would hide her phone whenever I was in her room or quickly cover up the phone screen, and since the time that I vowed to be my daughter's best friend so that she would not keep anything from me, I've surely been on a very different road. The only time that she would come talk to me was when she would ask for money or if she wanted me to buy something for her. I would, of course, give in. But when her requests get ridiculous, like asking for $1,000 or a luxury vehicle, I'll say no. When she gets what she wants, she'll smile and then not talk to me again. And when she doesn't, she starts that screaming thing again. Honestly, I just gave up after that. I was thinking that maybe one day she'll need me again as her father, and we can repair our relationship. But year after year passed, and she was already in her first year of university, and the situation barely changed. My wife told me that Natalie's planning to transfer to a different university in another state, and it was like 8 hours away by road. I internally panicked because it felt like if she moved to a different place, I would not see her ever again. And that brings us back to the special lunch. I'd pulled some strings and cash to book a table at a fancy restaurant. Natalie refused to go. My wife forced her, thankfully, and while we were there, I saw my daughter smile. The atmosphere was nice, so I patted myself on the back for making it all happen. Well, I tried talking to my daughter, but my wife shook her head lightly, so I just let her be. Throughout the lunch, the conversation was mostly between Natalie and Jen, or Jen and me. It was an awkward dynamic, and I think the waitstaff was noticing. But who cares what they think anyways? School came up as a topic between my wife and my daughter. Natalie seemed elated while explaining how it was going to be so different for her, with nobody there to control her. I knew it was a slight at me, but I just continued eating. But it made me a bit concerned about her because, to be honest, even if I moved past the fact that she was trying to make me angry, it would be her first time being out in the real world alone. Plus, the more she kept talking about independence, the more I started mulling over her choices. However, I could not help but worry about her. She'd been out in the real world on her own for the first time, and as she kept emphasizing her independence, I found myself questioning her choice of university. It was, to put it mildly, subpar. Natalie's major was marketing, right? And her current university had a much better program for that. If she wanted to move out, why not choose a better university? Why aim for low standards? I voiced my concerns, and I told her that her choice was silly, and she should choose a better one or stay here. My wife faked a cough, and I know that she's trying to stop me from going against her plans, but you know what? I'm her dad, and I would support whatever is best for her. Why is my wife even agreeing with Natalie's stupid decision? Given her background in marketing, she should have known better. My daughter stood up and glared at me. She told me that I have no right to dictate her choices. The room went quiet, and I felt the eyes of other patrons staring upon us. I felt a flush of embarrassment and told her to sit back down. She threw back that famous line she used years ago. "Or else what? You'll hit me again?" There were audible gasps around us, and I attempted to explain that I didn't hit her, when I retracted, saying, yeah, actually I did, but only once, and you know what? You can guess how messed up my explanation was. I turned to Jen for backup, but she was giving me the, I don't want to get in between this look. So I focused on Natalie and told her that's enough. If she can't respect me as her father, she will leave the house. Then she said verbatim, "Fine, I don't understand why Mom's letting you act like my dad anyways." And then she walked away. Now I'm here riding on the interwebs like a loser, not implying anything, of course. It must just be my paranoia, but I kept repeating what she said over and over. What did she mean by that? Was she disowning me as her father, or was she suggesting that she's not my biological daughter? Did I mess up so badly that she had to be that way? I absolutely don't know what to think. Nothing makes sense. Please, guys, send help, preferably with some stiff drink, because I need to forget this day for a while. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. I hope you're enjoying today's story. I do have multiple updates to hop into, and if you think this family dynamic was troublesome so far, you have seen nothing yet. Just a friendly reminder, the best way to support the channel is simple. All you have to do is click that subscribe button underneath this video. Take a second right now if you enjoy these videos, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Guys, it's time to hop into update number 1, so let's do it. Wow, I did not expect this many people to respond to my rant. I guess that's why my sister loves this sub. There are a lot of perspectives, and while people calling me stupid isn't ideal, I want to say that I appreciate everybody who took the time to read my lengthy, probably boring post. To those who defended my actions when I slapped my daughter, I must say I can't accept that. I don't want to be that kind of parent, and for those who zeroed in on the fact, trust me, I would turn back the hand of time and change my actions if I could. I also saw some comments suggesting a DNA test, but here's the deal. I met my wife in high school, and I was her first boyfriend. We go way back, and we never broke up. It's been just the two of us for more than 30 years, so it's highly unlikely, and I don't think it's necessary. You'll agree with me soon enough. Anyways, before I go on a dive and just give you a full-blown essay again, let me give you a bit of an update. So, Remember the time when I was just that guy posting here and reading, typing out his problems to find a consolation and get advice from strangers? That's me again. I've got some answers, but they've left me more confused than before. Writing that long rant helped me calm down a bit, guys. I then went back home, but this time, I don't want to just avoid the drama. 4 years of space is more than enough in my opinion, and I will confront my daughter. And if she is not willing, she's not a minor anymore, and she can get out. However, I didn't even have to tell her to move out. She was already stashing clothes into a bag when she realized I was in her room. She told me that I could not control her anymore because she was leaving. I told her that I didn't care and that I just wanted her to ask about what she said. She feigned ignorance, and then I repeated words exactly as she said. Fine. I don't understand why Mom is letting you act like my dad. Anyways. She sighed and asked me why I care since she would be leaving anyways, and I just continued to prod. Asked her if what I've done was so unforgivable and if she could never forgive me. I told her all the things that I'd felt and how I regretted that day and how I wished I could take it back, and she continued packing her stuff into a luggage. She's not giving an inch. I told her I was sorry and wanted to fix our relationship because no matter what happens, I'm her dad. I was a godly mess, but I meant everything. I think I've always wanted to tell her, but the timing never felt right. The last bit made her turn around and look at me. She sighed and told me that I was not her dad. I asked her what she meant by that, and she got annoyed and said, I said what I said. My wife found us in the room, and she grabbed Natalie's hand and scolded her, and she shouted, Do not talk to your father like that, which amazed me because she was always the calm one. But my daughter shook her hand away and told Jen to just tell me the truth. They were both looking at me and being honest with God, but I still did not know what she was trying to say. Maybe deep down I did, and I was just avoiding said truth. But yeah, as I've mentioned earlier, we would not need the DNA test. My world was crashing. My wife starts to explain how she had this one-time fling, and it was the day before our marriage, and she wanted to have just one night of fun. She kept everything a secret. She did a DNA test behind my back to see if I was the father, and well, we all know how that turned out. My marriage was a huge lie. She didn't tell anybody until she bumped into the guy, whom I will now refer to as the demon. They go to talking, and she confessed about him being the real dad of our daughter. No, Natalie. I'm a grown man crying while typing this out on the phone to post on the internet. Pathetic, am I right? I don't know what to do anymore. I told them to leave, and they did. It's been 2 days since, and I've been constantly thinking about what happened. For once in my life, I never expected myself to be in a situation I'm in, and I'm just heartbroken. And with that, I hope everyone reading this is having a way better week than me. Update number 2. I apologize if my previous update left some of you feeling unsatisfied. I was overwhelmed and needed to go distance myself from the situation for a bit. It's been a week since then, and I want to give you further updates on this drama. The night I typed my last update, I called my wife and told her to come home with Natalie. Jen gave me a more detailed account of the situation, and I sat across from them in silence, absorbing her words. She reiterated that she had made a mistake just once, the day before the wedding, and did not believe that telling me the truth was worth the potential breakup of our family. My heart felt like it was being crushed multiple times, but you know what? I treated Natalie like she was my own, and I still love her like she is my daughter. I asked Jen what her goal is now, and she told me she would do anything for me to forgive her. I then looked at Natalie and asked the same thing, but there she was, already on her phone. Jen elbowed her, and when we got her attention back, I repeated the question. Her response was dismissive. She didn't care. She must have seen the confused look on my face, so she explained. She said that she was already planning to move to Robert's house, her biological father, which was also why she was even moving to another university. Natalie said that I could not afford what she wanted in life, and when I refused some of the things that she asked of me, her biological dad provided? My mind suddenly flashed back to the text I once saw on her phone, or the times when they would go out and not come back to the day after. Things seemed to piece together, especially why she was even going to that bad school. But I did not want it to make sense. Please. Jen elbowed her again, telling her to stop. But Natalie looked more annoyed at this point, and she then said that even Jen once said that she regrets getting married to me because the other guy is way more successful than me. Jen denied everything and said that Natalie was a liar, but my gut says that what Natalie said was probably true. I wanted to pin the blame on Robert, a guy who seems to be breaking up the family even though I've never even met the guy. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I realized I had been clenching my fist throughout the conversation. What had I even expected to hear when I invited them back to tell me the truth? To be honest, I was very surprised that I was still composed despite all of this. I was extremely raging and sad inside, of course. So I just gave them an ultimatum. I told Natalie to look me in the eyes, and I asked her to choose between me and her biological father. The only way that I can get past this is if the guy's totally out of the picture. She scoffed at me, stood up, and said that she was happy that she didn't have to deal with me anymore. She walked out. Jen ran after her, but before she got out the door, she told me that she chose me. But I told her that she didn't get that choice. She lied throughout our married life and still lied to me that day. There's no way I'll take her back. I could tell that she wanted to stay and change my mind, but decided to chase my daughter instead. And that's where things are standing right now. Well, currently I'm on vacation. I took a leave from work and I blocked all incoming calls because I've decided that I needed a few days to myself where I don't need to care. I called my sister and shared the events, and she cackled, told me I had it coming since I was already too lucky to be married for a long time to my high school sweetheart. Sisters, am I right? But she also told me that I should not have given the ultimatum since it's obvious what Natalie would have done. She said that I was just priming myself up for a disaster. But thinking about it more, maybe that's what I wanted. I'm an adult and they're adults, and I'm not the one who kept this big secret from your own spouse, am I? How about you guys? What do you think I should have done? But please, keep the comment civil. I still want to enjoy my vacation. Update number 3. I want to start by expressing my gratitude to those who have sent supportive comments. Things have taken a very unexpected turn, and I must say the taste of poetic justice is quite sweet. So remember how Natalie told me that she got to leave with her biological dad. Apparently she did not inform him of her plan. So when she knocked on the door, a woman carrying a baby answered. Natalie was about to introduce herself, but her biological father spotted her, quickly dragged her outside, and explained the situation. Natalie told him about her plans to transfer to a university in his state and live with him. After all, he had previously talked about how large and empty his house felt, with spare rooms everywhere, unused left and right. However, there was a significant complication. He had not told his wife about Natalie. He promised to do so, but with the arrival of a new baby and all the stress that comes with it, he decided it's better to postpone the reveal. Well, to solve these issues temporarily, he gave Natalie some money for a hotel stay and asked her to leave. She overheard him explaining to his wife that Natalie was an annoying trainee from work who would not leave him alone, and he assured his wife that Natalie would not bother them anymore. So, you might be asking, where did I hear this? Well. If you thought it was my wife, you're wrong. My wife didn't follow her because of work, and this juicy information came directly from Natalie herself. She called me right up on my phone, and when I got back from vacation, she said that she could not reach me and was glad that I finally answered. To be honest, I felt bad for her, and my paternal instincts were kicking in. I listened to her story, and I sensed that she was trying to paint herself as the victim. I mean, I do sympathize with her. I bet it doesn't feel good at all to be disregarded by your real father like that. So, I asked her what she wanted from me. Guys, here's the kicker, and I swear I am not making it up. She had the audacity to ask for tuition money for the new school, and I told her to ask the big old wealthy biological father. But she was already rejected. Her bio dad wants her to come back here because if his wife finds out, he might lose his family. It seems the father she chose did not choose her. A tragic comedy, if you will. Despite everything, Natalie still wants to transfer and be part of his life, but as far as I see it, it's not my problem. So I told her that I was sorry, but she could not expect any more financial help from me. And yet, there's more to this story. When Natalie turned to Jen for tuition money, she was also turned down since I asked Jen to leave our home. She had to rent an apartment and is now dealing with her own financial pressures. Again, not my problem. Final update. Hey guys, this'll actually be my final update about this situation. While things have been far from ideal for me, sharing my experience and feelings has been therapeutic. Over the past few weeks, I've allowed myself to indulge in a bit of pettiness. Not that I'm particularly bothered by it. Remember when Natalie asked me for tuition money to study at the new university? Her bio father would not give her the money, and neither would my soon-to-be ex-wife, Jen. But I refused her because I wanted to remain on my stand that I did not have responsibility over her anymore. After that, apparently Natalie resorted to blackmailing her biological dad, saying that she would reveal herself to his wife if he would not pay for her needs. It was crazy. But it worked. According to Jen. Good for her, I guess. Oh, and about Jen, she visits me every weekend, or tries to. I always tell her to go away because I'm allergic to liars. After 3 weeks, I think she knew that I was not going to budge, and so she told me she was entitled to the house because we're married. So, the following weekend, I had my lawyer give her divorce papers with a notice that said she would be left with nothing if she continued to harass me. After that, she left me alone. I don't have plans to pursue it right away, since living alone was already a weird big change, but in the near future, I'll make sure that we're divorced. Maybe when something terrible happens in her job, that will be a good timing. I'm kidding. For now, at least. I'm just happy that she's finally leaving me alone. Well, back to Natalie. So I know that some of you wanted me to forgive her, especially since she's young and it's normal, a thing to want to be with her real parents. And if I wasn't told about it, it most likely would be my wife telling her to shut up about it. And something about it really did love her as a daughter. I would have had a soft spot for her, and will still help her no matter what she decides on, and sure, you have a point. But I've been deceived for almost 20 years, and that's a tough pillow to swallow. I constantly curse myself for destroying my relationship with my daughter, but it turned out that her coldness had a big fat lie attached to it, and I can't get past it. I've already offered her an option here, and that was it. Guys, here's my final form of revenge. I know some of you will hate me for it, but hey, it just doesn't matter. I won't be opening this post anymore or reading any comments after this. I just thought some of you might want to listen to the ending part of this whole messed up drama. So, Natalie and her dad had an agreement. Bio dad funds her, and they get together twice a month. That's all she asked in exchange for the silence. I told Jen that I wished to forgive her, but I wanted to prove her loyalty. We drove across the state for 8 hours, and I told her that I wanted to talk to Natalie and asked her to come back so we could be a whole family again. But Natalie might not want to talk to me, so I want her to tag along and give her a little surprise visit. Jen genuinely seemed pleased about the whole thing. I told Jen that Natalie was her bio dad's house, so we went there and I knocked on the door. Surprise, surprise, it was the wife who answered, and I showed her a photo of Natalie and asked her if she knew this girl. She said yes, and that she was an intern. Despite Jen's attempts to intervene, I revealed to the wife that Natalie was in fact the child of Jen and her husband. You can imagine what happened after that, and the wife shut the door on our faces, but I could hear her trying to call the husband in the background. Jen said that she did not know that this was my plan, but duh! I want her to see how it all falls down. After that, I received so many voicemails from Natalie's father and Natalie. Natalie was telling me that what I did was unnecessary, and I told her that I would feel remorseful if she was my daughter, but as it stands, she's not. This time, I hit her where it hurts the most. Anyways. Goodbye, everyone.
Revealing the bio dad's true identity to his wife was the icing on top of the cake for that cross-state visit to Natalie. Guys, I want to know your thoughts about this story, every single detail you were thinking about, because wow, this story took some crazy turns. If you were in OP's position, how would you go about facing this ultimatum that you were left with? Guys, I want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I read daily drama stories, which include inheritance dramas, mother-in-law disputes, wedding fiascos, HOA problems. We cover it all. Guys, make sure you smash that subscribe, like, comment button. Thank you once again. I'll see you tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!